blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Hello and good morning and welcome to According to Courtney. If this is your first time coming and joining us, welcome. So on According to Courtney, I'm Courtney West. I'm a full spectrum doula, doula educator, activist, and I work in everything with Black maternal health. So if you're coming to join us for the first time, we are here to talk about all different subjects from Black maternal health, wellness, filling your cup, sex, and everything in between. So this week, it's just you and me. And we're talking about a subject that is really near and dear to my heart. We're a little behind it, is from Black Maternal Health Week. And that was from April 11th through the 17th. And if you had watched us last week where we had Miss Carmen Ramirez, who is a healer and works in acupuncture, we talked a little bit on Black maternal health. And so I wanted to come back this week and kind of really focus on that and say, what is Black Maternal Health Week? Why do we have it? And then also things that were celebrated in my area in Tampa Bay that I did myself for this subject. So let's start off about how did we start off with Black Maternal Health Week? So how Black Maternal Health Week started was that the Black Mothers Matter Alliance decided on 2018. I'm sorry. It's the morning time and I am a little off this morning. Let me back that up a little bit. So what we have for Black Maternal Health Week for 2014. So what we have is that the Black Mamas Matter Alliance, had to get it together, started in 2018 about why Black maternal health was so important and decided that it was important that everyone mobilize and really talk about this subject and make sure that this is done in all over parts of the United States and the world. Because this is such an important subject because Black women are dying 3 to 4 times of their white counterparts. It has been proven that Black women have, in all different spots, numbers are more and more, that you're seeing a large difference in how Black women are treated, how their pain is managed, and the mortality rate for not only mothers, but their infants. With all that being said, people are also taking into account what maternal morbidity is. Maternal morbidity, and we've talked about that on this show before, is how the after effects of birth, the trauma and the stress stays in the body, sometimes showing up as hypertension. Actually, a lot of times in hypertension, mental health stresses like PTSD, anxieties, and how this is coming up in our communities. What the Black Mothers Matter Alliance wanted to do was highlight not only what the issues were, but the things that are fixing it. And that's really highlighting Black birth workers, mental health therapists, midwives, and OBs, and about what they are working together with people on boots on the ground doing this work, such as doulas and lactation consultants, and how does that all work? So what I wanted to do for this year is really highlight what this is and why does that matter? Because I was asked that. Why does this all matter? Well, the reason why Black Maternal Health Week matters and what it's so needed is to really highlight what is going on in our communities. Because a lot of times people don't know what is right in front of them. A lot of people, unless you've experienced it or have seen it, don't realize the traumas that happen in the healthcare system when it comes around birth, especially around Black birth. A lot of people are not aware of, that the history of gynecology was done on Black birthing bodies. So C-sections and how you are dealt with during birth when it comes to lots of surgical procedures were done on Black bodies that were enslaved Black bodies. Not only were the surgeries done, they were done with no anesthesia, no help at all. They were bound to tables, and this work was done on them. So there is a systemic history of trauma dealing with maternal health for Black people. With that more being said, beforehand, especially in the South, the communities were birthed through midwives. And they had great numbers because whole towns were birthed from midwives, and majority of these midwives were Black. And so we go from a whole society of having Black midwives, and then when midwifery was institutionalized by the medical establishment, white men and white women were coming into those spaces, the numbers started to change. Now, birth was no longer allowed in the home by midwives because they had to be certified. And through that certification, weeded out having hundreds and thousands of midwives to down to 10, to 5, to very none. Even till this day, the amount of midwives to OBs is astronomically lower, and even more so in the Black community. We don't have them anymore. So all of this to be said is moving back in the forward mind of thinking of what can we do? What have we done? What worked and what didn't work, and going back to those things. And so by highlighting what everyone is doing for Black maternal health is how you make real change. You make real change by showing what is being out there, what are we doing out there, and how, and showing why this matters. So America, as being one of the most industrialized nations, has one of the worst birth outcomes. Like, I believe we're like number 70 on the list. And it's because our maternal health and our fetal health is combined with Black bodies, because we have the highest death rate. So the amount of how well your community is doing is based on how many people are living. So if you're looking that there's a whole group of people are dying, and they're dying from things that are all 90% preventable. So you're getting people are dying from hypertension. They're dying from bleeding out. And it's deals with the matters of, in the medical establishment in America, Black women don't feel pain the same. Black women don't hurt the same. They can handle more pain and have more tolerance, or that we're naturally loud, so you don't have to listen to us. So if that is being taught in the establishment, people are overlooking what is happening. And then a lot of times we have lost the tools of how to speak in these spaces. So by having events and having forums, you're having a space to be able to talk about these things and express what's going on. How do we do this, and how do we move these things forward? So when by having different Black alliances coming together and showing what this is doing, really personifies in each community what's going on. So for the Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough County really took the helm of what was going on by doing the biggest event with USF, where they had walking meets and a lot of different events of coming together and having forum and talking about what's going on, teaching, being boots on the ground. What does that look like? And highlighting what people are doing in their communities. So Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, that is us, had their mayors write out proclamations for saying that we are going to stand and share space for Black Maternal Health Week and promote that this is here. And it's all about what are we doing and how do we show up locally. So in my community in Tampa Bay area, St. Pete, there was really 2 of us who are really doing different things. And actually it was us and our own Dr. Zanita that we've had events in our community for Black Maternal Health Week. For myself, I started out my appreciation for Black Maternal Health Week before Black Maternal Health Week started, during it, and at the end, just due to scheduling. So my first event that I did was actually a speed dating event for BIPOC and allied birth workers. So BIPOC birth workers is standing for anyone in the spaces of Black, Indigenous, Latinx people coming, and people of color all coming together. And allies are melanated people are that are coming and holding space and being able to best be an ally to Black and brown communities. How do they hold space? How do they heal in those spaces? And then also making sure that they're coming from a cultural competent lens while dealing with families from Black and brown and indigenous populations. So I did a speed dating event. People are like, why speed dating? I wanted an opportunity for people to get to know each other. A lot of times you don't know who's out there. Our community is kind of spread out. And so I feel like there's a lot of Black and brown doulas who are in the area and they just don't know each other. Or there may be maybe only one or two lactation consultants who speak Spanish, but you don't know who they are. So I wanted an opportunity to bring together different modalities from midwives, chiropractors, lactations, doulas into a space so that you can know each other and also hold each other accountable. And to know, hey, I know that if I can't be here for a family, I can ask Susan. Susan may not be a woman of color, but she is an ally to Black and brown people. And I know that I can pass this person off and know that they are being cared for properly. Or I know that I need a lactation consultant who speaks Spanish, and I have a family who are immigrants and they are frightened. I know that I can reach out to Sarah, who is in those spaces, who may serve this family better than I can. And having those forums that people can talk. So we're actually have pictures from all of this. So I'm going to start off for our first picture you're going to pull up is going to be like the flyer for BIPOC Maternal Health Week. Yeah. So this is for my BIPOC and Allies birth worker speed dating event. And I was able to do this. And it was my first time working with the Museum of Motherhood, which is amazing. There's actually a photo of me right outside of there. And that is actually in the factory in St. Pete, which is in our art district. And this is a whole museum dedicated to motherhood. And what other better space to hold something speaking on womb care and on motherhood and birth workers except in a space like this. So we're gonna actually have a couple of pictures for this and we're gonna kind of run through some of them. Go ahead to the next one. So this is from actually my second event that I did in this space, but this is right here is Joy and my mom actually at one of my speaking engagements that we did later on in the week about maternal health. But this is one of the photos from in this space of in the back, it's actually a woman who during her pregnancy knitted a womb and covered herself in that and covered her baby in that, and part of that pieces of that. So you can go to the next one. And so this, you guys have had Triana here as a guest, and she is an amazing midwife in our area. And she was in the Museum of Motherhood trying out the baby suit. So they have 2 baby suits that you can try. So it gives fathers and non people who have not birthed yet an experience of how heavy birth really can be. You know, she was taking it back. She was like, gave her nostalgia pieces where you can feel the heaviness of a belly, your breast, and where it sits on your hips and your back. You can go to the next one. So right here, this is the speaking engagement itself of the speed dating event, so that you're having opportunity to have different people in the spaces learning different items. And in this space, you know, we have nurses, we have doulas, we have midwives, and non-birthing people as well, learning about what their skill sets are, learning about the background of each other. So therefore we can say, hey, this is what we do. So now we all have a bigger piece of what's going on so we can network better. Go to the next one. So yes, this is the good old hip squeeze right here. I appreciate, you know, midwife Triana let me get the hip squeeze in. You know, we were playing around like she was in labor. And, you know, got to do the hip squeeze. I know y'all see on the side the boob chair. Yes, it is a thing. Super squishy. All boobs matter. So these are the things that I just really love about the Museum of Motherhood, that it really gives an artistic science edge of what women go through. It's one of the very few museums about motherhood and what all goes into there. And it gives you a science-based, art-based, you know, womb-based thought process on birth. You can go to the next one. So this is another part of part of it, of just engaging with everyone and speaking about, again, even why Black maternal health matters. Why are we sitting in these spaces to have this conversation about learning, why does this even matter that we need to give this type of care? And why do we need to hold space for this care? And about, Black and brown people's birth experience and life experience is very different, because having to deal with racism in so many different assets of our lives, or even prejudgments and dispositions that you're not being used to being heard, and learning how to be heard and wanting to be heard, and that we have an eye and an ear to remind people that we're people, that we're real, that we have real emotions. I'm not Black woman 67. My name is Courtney. I'm your patient. And that we as birth workers remember that ourselves and help remind that of other people. So by having those things in place, holding space for people, standing in these spaces, and teaching other people to stand in these spaces is how you make change. And the way of doing that is by meeting and talking about this, so you can spread it, so then they have another person, and then another person, then another person. So you can go to the next one. So again, this is just more of trying out the birth suit. I was like, are you for real? You really want to do this type of thing? You can go on to the next one. And this is just more of the Science Center itself, of the museum and the science portion of it. Even having speculums and tools that are used, the womb itself and how it is broken down and what that really looks like. So it's awesome for you to be able to see this. And I think that everyone who, if you have a womb, you don't have a womb, should definitely go down to this and be able to see and experience what this looks like, and to really understand or have a perception of what women and mothers go through to bring you earthside and to just be a woman, period. Go ahead to the next one. So now we're moving into the second event that I did for Black Maternal Health Week. So this was actually on the last day of Black Maternal Health Week, and it was great. I was able to partner with Sierra Clark, who really is a conversationalist and really is about empowering women, and then talking about what is Black Maternal Health Week and how do we empower mothers. And we really talked about the conversation about what the theme of Black Maternal Health Week was this year. And this year is that our wombs still belong to us. Our bodies still belong to us. Reproductive justice now. If you're not aware, because people are from all over here in the state of Florida and the United States period, is really changing on the women's rights to their reproductive rights and justices. So in my state of Florida, I believe it is on May 11th, now that abortions are only at 6 weeks. And so it's very interesting now that as a place that we've had this years of empowerment to be able to birth the way that we choose, or not to birth the way we choose, that right has now been taken from us. The only way you can get it extended to 15 weeks is if you can prove that you were raped with paperwork or incest. But keep in mind, to really prove these all the way out, you need a swab DNA test for that, which will supersede the amount of time that would be needed for you to make that procedure happen. And some people ask, well, why is that important? Well, as a community, that our bodies were not made to be our own. Think about who this really affects. Now, doctors' hands are tied that they cannot help you unless you're saving the woman's lives. Therefore, when these women are becoming septic, we had a guest on here in previous year that this happened to her. So you're having to go back and forth to doctors over and over and over again and hope that they see you and believe your symptoms. And that is the problem that has been shown over and over in the Black community, that our symptoms aren't taken seriously. So when this happens, and now we have this on top of it, how many lives will this affect? How many lives on top of that we're losing, even more that we're going to lose from now signs of infection? This also keeps in mind if you're having a baby, if you're carrying a child and you have a stillborn. Now the rules still apply, and people don't know or understand that it's not always by choice abortions, it's also medical necessary abortions. So in this time at this event, we took the time to talk about the womb itself and healing and the journeys of knowing choice, and also understanding womb stories and why this is happening in our community, but also the things that are in our community of how to make change. And I took people and asked them about what is their womb story and what is their mother's womb story. And that is something I would encourage you guys as guests. What is your womb story? And what I mean by that is, what is your birth story? And have you really taken the time to ask your mother her birth story? Because a lot of times your birth story is the imprint of who you are in this world and how you first came into it. So it is very interesting sometimes to see what your mother's womb story was from your conception to her pregnancy to her birth. And how does that impact people? And that conversation has a lot to do with maternal morbidity. So you can put photos down right now. We can come pick that up later. And what that really looks like. So maternal morbidity, you hear me talk about it, but it's about breaking it down a lot. A lot of people experience and end up having maternal morbidity due to their birth experience. So if your mother was homeless and had 5 children living out of her car and was dealing with domestic violence and how to feed you guys, all while carrying you, then went into a birthing experience where she had no rights, no one listened to her, went through severe amount of pain, had you in a very traumatic way. You were ripped from your arms because she was having a hypertensive episode because she was so stressed out and there was no one there for her. She lived, you lived, and now you go out to the world. What does that do to a person? What traumas do we put on a person? And as Black women, a lot of times this is their story and it's to be shooken off. And that was just it, because everyone's story is, oh, how horrible it was. So now this person is traumatized and still having to fix and live through the traumas of everything else she went through. How did that affect you, and how did she raise you? How did she see you? How was she able to love you? And so I tell people, and I used it as an exercise to say, take this time to do your womb stories with your parents, but be gentle with them, because you don't know how triggering that is or what trauma that may be behind that. And then do your own. And from your womb story can go back to if you want to go into mothering when your pregnancy on. And if you're not a mother yet, how did you discover your womb and where you are? And when you have those stories and are able to share those stories, it helps you heal and also shows worth to your child. And it can help kind of heal some things, because as a child of your mother, you're able to see them in a light you may not have before. And as a mother, you're allowing your child to see you in a vulnerable state in a way that they've maybe never seen you before. So this was a space to have that conversation of why these things are important, but to what work we can do ourselves to be better. We talked about holding space for each other. And why is that important? We've lost that community of when you're birthing, you had your moms and your grandmas and your aunts talk to you. So now we have spaces that we can hold space, and we do that. And we did that in that space. And I give all this to you guys because I want you guys to be able to do that for yourself. Not just for Black Maternal Health Week, but for any week, any day. This is about healing and oneness. And by having spaces with people, especially having spaces for Black women, having spaces for moms, having spaces for dads, all is part of Black maternal health. And to do that, and what that really means, and to tell your stories. So therefore that we're encouraging people and also healing ourselves, because even if you had a traumatic story, you've been able to share that and then process that. And then how do we move forward? And when you can learn that you're not alone, and how do you show up in other spaces for this? So at this time, you'd have heard me go da 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 da. I'm gonna continue on about the different things that we do and then how we can move forward for next year. But we're gonna go ahead and take a little break, listen to some good music, be in a good vibe.
Yes, indeed. So our blast artist spotlight is my man Elijah Rosario, and this is called Best of Me. Let's check it out.
Say what's on your mind, tell it like it is. Is there something in your heart wanting part in it? If that's the case, then girl, just say so. Games, I ain't tryna play those. Know you protective of your heart. Know you healing from them scars. Well, how about tonight we just put all our worries aside? Take advantage of this moment. Hold me tight, I'm talking close. I've been seeing clearly lately. Ain't no guarantee, just maybe. One thing that I'm certain of, I can't live without your touch. Oh. Kiss me like the first time that we met. Love me like we'll never love again. I'll save you every time before myself. Don't want nobody else. Give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. When you laying next to me, give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. I'll give you the best of me.
Don't wanna waste no time. You know a good girl's really hard to find. You've been heavy on my mind. Boy, talk is cheap, but wait in line. Love the way I move to the baseline, waistline. Bad girl, not only on FaceTime. You know true love really takes time. Takes time, can't fall in love if you ain't mine, no. Watch me wind it slow. Watch you lose control. Just wanna let you know this is how the thing goes. Make him spend 6 figures on the bling. African bad girl deserve to find the things. Private jets, baguettes, and diamond rings. Summertime drop top money ain't a thing like what it seemed like.
Kiss me like the first time that we met. Love me like we'll never love again. I'll save you every time before myself. Don't want nobody else. Give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. When you laying next to me, give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. I'll give you the best of me.
Yes, indeed. And that was Elijah Rosario with Best of Me. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or even up and coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, just like that one from Rosario, you can also go to blastmusic247.com, register as an unlimited fan, and have access to hundreds and hundreds of independent music. Blast, we are constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, back to
Thank you so much. You always love, God, I love a good blast artist. We always do have the best vibe music. So if you're just now joining me, I am Courtney West. I'm owner of Three Gems Birth Services, and this is According to Courtney. And if you're coming back with us, thank you for coming back. And we're talking about how I celebrated and really held space for Black Maternal Health Week. Black Maternal Health Week, again, this year was between the 11th and the 17th. And the subject matter was really about autonomy for birth justice and that our bodies still belong to us. And why is that important? And then we're talking about different events. The first event we start out for my community was my BIPOC and speed dating, BIPOC and ally speed dating birth worker event, where we had different birth workers come together and be able to learn about each other and learn about their sames and differences, and so they have each other to lean on in the community. The second event was back at the Museum of Motherhood, where we were holding space, really going over what is Black Maternal Health Week, kind of what we're doing right now, and then like we know what the statistics are of the trauma. Okay, Black women are dying 3 to 4 times the rate of their white counterparts. That maternal morbidity is so real in our community, and that is the traumas that are happened during postpartum and also the birthing experience itself. So it can be the pregnancy, the birthing experience, and then what you go through postpartum. It all can increase into maternal morbidity. And how does that affect our children and how we look at birth, and then our birth stories, and what the exercise I gave about, writing your womb story with your mom. Like, you guys take your separate times and you write your womb stories and come together and really listen to each other in a way that you haven't listened before. Because I feel like, again, with Black maternal health, it is one of the things about listening, really listening. And when it comes to listening, I want to go over to our own Dr. Z. Dr. Z, we love her. She makes everybody happy. And she is actually another person who has a show on Blast. She was someone else in the community who actually did an engagement. She did it through Zoom for Black maternal health, holding space and working with therapists on what that was. I think we have a picture of her little snapshot of her stuff. And why that's so important, like, as a therapist, being able to hold space, and that is something she's going to continue to do, is that was her gift to the community, is like, I want to have Black mothers from different spaces to be able to go and process their birth traumas and be able to be there, and also the birth joys, by mixing together breathing and yoga and doing this, that by doing it by Zoom, every mom can tap in no matter where you are. It's okay if you don't have a car. It's okay if you can't make it on the bus. You have a place and there's a space for you. When I get more information about how often she'll be doing this, I'll be sharing that. So it was really great to have in the community to know that I was doing something and she was doing something. We were both doing something on the 17th. So it was great that we gave options for both parties to be like, okay, there's something for you to do. You can listen to this piece of it, and you can also get help with this piece of it. I hope in next year we're going to be doing so many things. And I just, when they're talking about this year, really talking about, our bodies still belong to ourselves, I want to encourage people to, overall, especially with Black women, that a lot of times we give so much to everyone else that we forget to give to ourselves. I'm included. I am horrible about taking good care of myself, and I'm having to rethought my structure of thought about, I deserve care. I empower everyone else to give good care, but I deserve good care. And about going through a journey of like making those changes for myself. And that's what I really encourage you with, out of taking away from this Black Maternal Health Week, is to take care of yourself. Go into the space of that. I deserve beautiful care. I deserve meaningful care, and to also care for yourself that way. So instead of us maybe having a donut and some coffee because it's quick, it's like, you know what? I'm going to have some fruit and some yogurt and some granola because it makes me feel good. I'm going to make me a smoothie because it makes me feel good. I'm going to take 5 minutes of reflection time. I'm going to not have my coffee. I'm going to have my green tea and sip and hold space for myself, or do yoga for myself, or walk for myself. I'm not going to just get super fast foods. I'm going to nourish myself and cook something that is good for my body. I'm going to take time to rest, which is really hard. As a mom of 3 children, having a spouse, running multiple businesses, being a nurse, it's like, it's super hard. Oh my God, I don't get time. And about saying, you know what, I can take 10 minutes for myself. Just to breathe. Breathing. I think we forget to breathe a lot of times, and just to be like, it's okay. And then not like, breathe, like not heavy Lamaze breathing, but we don't do that anymore anyway. We do the deep breathe of counting for 5, letting out for 5, and just being and sitting and saying, slow down. I matter. Getting work done. Sometimes it's very frightening to go to the doctor. I know, especially for Black women, going to there, you feel like you're not going to be heard. I encourage everyone, make a list of questions when you go in. This is what's been hurting me. This is what doesn't feel right. This is what it is. Go get your levels. Go get checked out. And then what do you choose to make those changes about it? What food choices do we need to do changes about it? Start a group or find a group of moms to speak with. There's some people who do Red Tent, and that is a grouping of women that they come and they have sets of rules, and women are able to come together to be. Do a mom's group. Do something that you can meet with other people who understand where you are, so you can have some, 1, camaraderie, 2, some accountability, and 3, build new friendships, because people do better, especially women and culture. Every community really does better in community when you have someone else to be with and to hold space with, and sees you and you see them. You overall do and feel better. Then also take time for yourself. Go for a walk. It's one of the most simplest things ever. Just go for a walk. It doesn't matter if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's an hour. Go walk to clear your head. 15 to 30 minutes of cardio, working your body, is good for the mind, body, and soul. So just take that for nothing else. If not asking for a whole hour, take 15 minutes for yourself. Even if you have to break those 15 minutes into 5-minute segments for yourself. That is part of your body still being yours. Give yourself that time of healing and processing this, and why that's important. So for me, that 17th was about really teaching that, really honing into that, giving homework for the year. I am going to nourish myself. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to go to the gynecologist and check myself because I matter. I'm going to worry about what I'm putting into my body, what I'm putting out of my body, what I'm absorbing into my body. Let's do a check. A lot of things that feed into our fears about our bodies, we react to from social media. What are we ingesting? What are we taking in? And how that affects you, especially when you're pregnant. So if you're pregnant and you're watching lots and lots of fear-based monger information about you're going to have huge C-section rates, it's horrible, it's this and that and the other, and take it on everyone's fears, how does that affect you? So sometimes unplugging from that type of sound waves. Look at evidence-based information, absolutely. But how do you process it in a positive ways? Looking into hypnobirthing, some people enjoyed that. Lamaze, breathing techniques, different musics. We have a lot of great ones on blast about put you in this space of I'm healing and I'm going to have empowerments and having empowerment births. Get yourself a doula. Birth can be what you want it to be. Take the time and kind of really learn what your options are. What does a doula do and what it doesn't? That really leads me into my last event, which I was very proud to be invited by Hillsborough County's health department to work for their mother movement event, where basically they wanted to really highlight moms and what is going on with Black mothers and for maternal health, and holding forum for this, where they've had doctors and midwives and doulas, myself and another amazing doula, Zay, included, who are talking from the perspective of the Black experience and why this is important and why doulas matter. Having doulas in the space, what we do. And so what a doula does, if you're a first time coming onto this channel, is that what we do is we are holding space for you and giving you the most educated, evidence-based information in the birth spectrum so that you can make the best decisions for yourself. We educate you on pain, educate you on the laws, and educate you on different modalities to have the most comfortable birth that you can. We explain to you that pain is power in giving birth, but also to help you with the resources and the emotional spaces of birth. And not to make sure that you're not only seen, but you are heard. And as a Black birth worker, why that's so important and why that is so needed. and we were able to speak in forum as like a fire circles, as a fire chat to other great medical bodies and different people in the community that work in healthcare about why is this important and why do we hold space for this. I encourage Black and brown families, especially Black women, to look into your birth options in your area. You should know if it's like, okay, I'm gonna give birth, what a doula does, and then also what a midwife does. A midwife, the difference between a midwife and a doula. A midwife works on the medical aspect. So she's the one who's assisting you with the medical pieces of your birth. She is going to be doing your blood pressures. She's going to be checking your labs. She's going to be doing cervical checks on you. That is something a doula does not do. We are there for the emotional part. We're there to hold your hand. We are there to help you breathe. But we do work, midwives and doulas work tandemly together. And what I did in that space was really highlight what we do and why our work that we do is important. And that when we're making legislations on bodies, is that we should have doulas as really the front running piece of helping in these spaces. Now, and also being understood that doulas are our band-aid on a gunshot wound. Yes, we increase the numbers of births. Yes, we increase the numbers by, I believe, 40% on having C-section rates. We increase the numbers of at least 90% on overall satisfaction with birth. We matter and that we are important, but the bigger picture is having more low case births with midwives and having options of midwifery care and encouraging having more Black OBs and midwives in the area, encouraging people who are there now that we all need to work together, encouraging the climate to change. I actually have a couple little snippets pieces of different people speaking in those spaces for this event that was held on April 18th at for children at the Children's and Family Services area in Hillsborough County. So I'm really excited to being able to be in those spaces and speak for the different or speak with the different organizations that are there. They have Reach Up over there, where it's the doula program where you can sign up for free and get doula services and have someone with you before your birth and during your birthing experience, and why that's so important. And having those people in those spaces and knowing what every county does. Hillsborough County has certain things, Pinellas County has certain things, and to really kind of give an eye on what we do over here in Pinellas County, and then overall birth about why this is important. A lot of people ask me, why do I speak on this subject and why am I so passionate about this subject? I'm so passionate about Black maternal health because I am born of a Black woman who was born of a Black woman who was born of a Black woman who was born of a Black woman. I am the mother of 2 Black women, little Black women, and they, if they choose, will birth other children. And I find that Black women have been torn in America to carry a lot and the burden of a lot, and are supposed to do it with a smile on their face, and that they're super women. I was blessed to be raised by super women, but I knew that being super women means that you have to be able to carry a lot of pain. And I am from the generation of watching so many women carry so much pain, and that we don't have to do that, and that we can support each other to be different, to love different, to hold space different. And I'm very thankful for that. That we just have the space to do that. And I want to encourage women to do that. I was very blessed. I was born of a midwife. My mother went to the hospital and gave birth with a midwife, and my grandmother and my great aunt. That's how I entered the world, and that was my birth story, and that's what I thought everybody got the opportunity to do. My oldest child was attended by a midwife, but birthed by the oldest doctor in Tallahassee, who was a Black man, and that was an opportunity for a bunch of doctors to now be graduate students, and it was amazing to see. About 5 or 6 of them were people of color. So that's how my first daughter came into the world. To my second child, coming into the world 7 years later as a medical professional and being brought into this world with trauma and fear, and that being born of the nurse and my ex-husband and my mama, and that I had my grandmother and my great aunt and my mother and my cousin and her mother in the space with me where I was not getting sufficient medical care. I was not getting my pain needs met. No one was rubbing my fundus, and that they stood in space for me and saved my life. So I am the story of what I give. And so for me, I feel like my work as a nurse brought me to my work as a doula, because I witnessed, Black women who have these beautiful children who have these medical issues that were 90% preventable if they would have gotten proper care. And the trauma that it has caused them, and the maternal morbidity that it has caused them. And that they say, I wish I would have had someone be there with me. I wish I would have had someone hold my hand. And that was from talking about our birth stories and our womb stories. And they're like, I don't know what that looks like. And that is why I started being a birth worker, was from my experience the second time and having to call the medical system out, like, this is wrong and this is not how people birth, and what you're doing is harmful, to then meeting other women in my community that this was harmful. And being from Southside St. Pete, and especially in my family, we're a mixture of the Williams and the Chisholms and the Blakes. We're mostly likely related in St. Pete. You throw a quarter, you're going to hit about 15 of us. And so I treat and love people and serve people as though they're my cousins or my aunts or my sister or my child. And because I do that, the care is more connected, because I feel like Black people deserve that. I feel that everyone deserves that. Let me be very clear, but especially Black women, because of the history of what we carry. And also that I feel we deserve more. We deserve love. We deserve continent, beautiful care. We deserve to be seen. We deserve to be heard. We deserve happy births. No pain, no outside pain besides the pain that's needed for birth for it, that to be supported. And what would that look like? What would that change? Because I know for me, it was night and day. Being in a space that I went on walks all the time, and I had beautiful moms to connect with and nourishing food, and I had my elders be there with me. I was always loved. After having a baby, I had someone, a postpartum doula, be with me. Didn't even know that's what it was. I just thought it was my friend loving me. That's what I knew. That was my reality. And if other people had the opportunity to have that space, how much better would we all do? How much better would we all move in these spaces? So I say all of that to say, for Black Maternal Health Week, of what I want to see next year is a continuation of this. Now, they're going to be a different theme, but to still carry this theme through, that your body still matters. And to really highlight that, and then really show those more places in Pinellas County and other counties, and then in yourself, of how do I want to show up? How do I want to be seen? And building these spaces that it's okay to connect. It's okay to come together. If you're curious about how do I build a space, just do it. Like, put it out on Facebook. Hey, I want to meet with a bunch of moms in the park, Black moms in the park. Who's down? You'll be surprised who shows up. Or I want to set together a group for Creole moms who are fresh here from Haiti, who need a time to just connect about the old ways and about the connections of being here right now, because we have a high amount of Haitian communities coming here to the state, especially to Florida right now, due to, the things that are going on over there. Make spaces, build spaces for yourselves, and also heal yourself. Learn to heal yourself, and that you're important enough to heal. And what that does, remember, when you have children, look who's watching you. And to change maternal mortality, to change maternal morbidity, is changing ourselves. Yes, we need to make legislative changes. Yes, absolutely. Do there needs to be changes in the government on how things are done? Yes. Do we need more Black doulas Yes, that's something we can do right now. Do we need more Black midwives? Absolutely. Do we need more OBs? Absolutely. Do we need to change how the medical profession is teaching altogether? Yes. Patriarchy needs to be changed. Absolutely. But first, let's change ourselves. Let's love ourselves. Let's honor ourselves and honor our daughters. Heal our daughters by healing ourselves. Heal our sons by healing ourselves, because now you're teaching them that their spouse deserves to be healed. It's beautiful to be the generation to say we're not going to love our children through harm and brokenness. Because our generations beforehand, we've been taught, especially in the Black household, that I have to harm you before the world harms you. That is the lesson. I have to hurt you before the next person hurts you. And now we can say, we don't have to do that. I'm going to love you before the first person loves you. I'm going to teach you and hold you. And because I'm holding myself accountable. So therefore you can hold me accountable. So now you can hold you accountable. And we grow and we change every day. So I hope you guys take the challenge and also challenge me. Hold me accountable. I'm holding myself accountable. And I hold you guys accountable. Let's heal. And what that journey will look like next week, I'm super excited to, have a guest, if everything rolls out right, who goes on a journey. And we're going to talk about healing self and what that looks like and what that journey looks like for womb healing. And, that's really something I want to really press on this year about healing, the healing journey. So that is my gift for Black Maternal Health Week is here are the things, and then how do we build on it? And so by next year, we keep healing, we keep changing and everything. We're getting down to the end part. And I want to say again, for all of this today, thank you for being one-on-one with me today. Thank you for having this conversation and holding space for me, explaining what Black Maternal Health Week is and why it's important. Shout out to Black Mothers Matter Alliance for doing the work that you do. Shout out to Common Sense Childbirth Institute for the work that you do. Shout out to 3 Gems Birth Services for the work that I do. And I shout out to you guys for the work that you're doing, for all the birth workers out there who are out there hitting it every day, for the Black birth workers that are hard and you're taking the first brutal punch from the medical system to keep your patient safe, your clients safe, and their family safe. Love you, support you, salute you. You deserve your flowers. You deserve your crowns. You deserve all of it. You do, all of it. To the mothers out there about to birth, know that you know your rights. Look up your birth plan. Tell the Birth Society how you're going to birth and how they're going to honor your womb. Write down your womb story and share it with your children. You be empowered to birth the way that you want to. To our spouses, thank you for standing by us. Be there. You matter in the birth too. It's about everybody coming a family. And without you, we wouldn't be here. So we hold space for everyone in this heal this year. And just to keep on going. So to all of you guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for being here. Remember, you're beautiful, you're important, you're valued, and you're infinite. Until next week, you guys take care. Take care now.